Welcome to episode 1 of My Favorite Tropes on SpeterTV. I am your host, you can call me T. And in this series, we're going to take a quick look at some of my favorite tropes that pop up in our favorite works of fiction. Now, what is a trope? Well, TVTropes.org defines a trope as a storytelling device or convention, a shortcut for describing situations the storyteller can reasonably assume the audience will recognize. Now, TVTropes.org will be the basis for this series, and no, I am not affiliated with them. And by the way, how are they not making videos like this? I don't know. But anyway, we're going to start with one of my favorite tropes, Flanderization. Now, what does this obviously made up word mean? Essentially, it's when a single character trait becomes the character. It's named after Ned Flanders of The Simpsons and the changes that came into his character. It's generally thought of in a negative way, but it can make a bland character more interesting at times. For example, I think Eric Matthews on Boy Meets World became a lot funnier and more interesting when he went from being a pretty stock, standard older brother character to a goofy, less than smart, over-the-top kind of guy with a heart of gold. Now, one of the most infamous cases of Flanderization comes from pretty much every character in SpongeBob. For example, SpongeBob's dizziness turned into a disturbing lack of awareness, to the point that you can't do anything but just feel angry at him sometimes. Patrick's lack of sense and smarts with occasional glimpses of brilliance turned into dangerous stupidity, with glimpses of awareness that just make his actions seem malicious. Then you also have Squidward, Mr. Krabs, and Sandy, who over time have had their traits turn into really just maliciousness again for them as well. Steve Urkel on Family Matters had his character turn from a pretty standard nerd kid character to a mad scientist who ends up lost in space at the end. Even Judge Judy got... Hold up. Wait, that's Judge Judy. Judy, okay. Even Judge Judy got Flanderized. Her snark and outbursts got really popular and took over the show. There are far too many examples to name, but the one that stands out to me the most is Teen Titans Go. This is pretty much Flanderization the show. Their roles and traits and quirks are all turned up to 11, and that is basically their new characters in the show. Now, one could argue that since this is his own show, that this isn't really Flanderization, since this is just their take on these characters. But this is a direct follow-up with the same actors and with references back to the original show. This is essentially a sequel series. And of course, these are comic book characters first and foremost. So if nothing else, there's a Flanderization of their characters there, even though of course it does seem to much more directly tie into the original cartoon. So yeah, there are exactly, let me see, 16 bajillion more examples I could give you. So I'll just link to the page on TV Tropes and you can read up more on it on your own if you want to. Well, thanks for watching, and I will see you in episode 2 of this series, which will be... I haven't decided yet. Alright, bye.